Welcome to the Word for Life podcast, a daily devotional covering the entire Bible from Genesis to Revelation.
In Deuteronomy chapter 22, Moses teaches about how the people of Israel must be concerned for God's creation. From verse 1 to 4, Moses talks about how an Israelite must take care of a neighbor's ox or sheep or any other animal which strays away. The person must make sure that that animal is returned to the owner. Or if an Israelite finds a donkey or ox fallen on the road, he must help the owner get that animal to its feet. Friends, sometimes people may give importance to human beings, but not to animals and other created beings. These verses remind us that even a donkey or an ox or a sheep is God's creation and needs to be cared for. Similarly, in verse 6 and 7, Moses talks about how when an Israelite comes across a bird's nest beside the road, he can take the young bird but not the mother along with the young bird. Again, we see how Moses teaches us to be concerned about creation. The mother represents the source of life, and therefore she needs to be preserved. Friends, today our world is not concerned about ecology or creation. Lakes, rivers, and trees are often destroyed for short-term development. But human beings need to take responsibility not only for each other but also for creation. In verse 8, Moses talks about how when somebody builds a new house without a parapet around his roof, and if somebody falls from the roof, he needs to take the responsibility. The responsibility lies with the owner, not the one who fell down from the roof. God wants Israelites and believers to take responsibility for such things. Friends, sometimes people don't take responsibility but blame somebody else. But whatever comes into our sphere of life, believers take responsibility for it. Moses also teaches that God has already set an order in creation. God has created humans as male and female. This difference must not be confused. So in verse 5 we read, "A woman must not wear men's clothes, nor a man wear women's clothes." Friends, this transvestism may have been derived from a Canaanite practice. In Canaanite worship, there was cross-dressing, but here Moses bans that for the people of Israel because creation order needs to be maintained. Similarly, from verse 9 to 12, Israelites are commanded not to plant two kinds of seed, or plow the field with an ox and donkey, or wear clothes of wool and linen woven together. We see here that the differences need to be maintained because God has put them in creation. Finally, the order of marriage needs to be preserved. Moses talks about specific issues in marriage. In the case of a newly married couple, if the husband suspects the faithfulness of his new bride, he could bring up his charges to her parents. But if he is found to falsely accuse her, then he must pay a very costly penalty and he must not divorce her for the rest of his life. From verse 22 we read about adultery. Again, the death penalty is given for adultery because God wants Israel to preserve the order of marriage. If adultery takes place between two consenting parties, both of them must be put to death. But if it is a rape, then the male offender must be put to death. Friends, marriage is an institution set by God, and The people of Israel and believers today are commanded to maintain the sanctity of marriage. Friends, believers, remember that this is God's world and He has already ordained and set apart certain things in His own way. And believers make sure that they maintain those orders.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you tomorrow for the next episode of the Word for Life podcast.